everybody, welcome back to my channel. I was gonna say that I'm really excited to be recording this video because I've been thinking about it for a very long time. I really wanted to start a conversation about this specific topic. I already mentioned, if you couldn't tell by this video, it's a little bit of a more serious one, but I really wanted to make it because it really does kind of mean a lot to me. But before I start, I just want to quickly say thank you to everyone who subscribed to my channel. We already made it to 50 subscribers and that made me so happy to see so many of my friends subscribe, and it made me feel so supported again, and it boosted my confidence and made me excited to make this video. And if you couldn't tell already, the doors of my closet are closed because I am gonna be doing a organized room tour. I made very big final touches on my closet a few days ago. The only thing I need to do is just quickly make final touches on my desk and then I'll be done. Today is the day that I make this video. I took a shower. It's a special occasion. Okay, that sounded disgusting. Let me make a disclosure real quick. All of these opinions that I'm gonna say are my own. I don't want to speak for the general Christian community because I know that there are people who probably won't agree with what I'm gonna say. Everything that I'm going to say, I prayed about and I've thought about for weeks and almost months now. And this is coming from a place of love and experience and just me wanting to shed light on a subject that hasn't really been discussed. And I want this to be more talked about, I guess. Like, I want this to be something that isn't something to be ashamed about. And I also want to say that I'm not a doctor. I don't have any medical, I mean, I have taken anatomy, but I'm not qualified to diagnose anybody. I just feel like I have to say that. This is just based on my experience and my point of view. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I mentioned in my latest videos, like the first videos that I've made since I kind of got back on YouTube, and that was the fact that I haven't been active because I started school, I started college, and also that I had a few negative episodes. And I hate saying this, I'm gonna just say it because it's the truth. I had a really big problem with anxiety and depression, and it just all started, I'm gonna just give a little bit of a background. 2018 was, I don't want to say overall it was a bad year, it was just a challenging year. You know, everything was kind of normal. I graduated high school and I was in the summertime spending time with my family in Mexico. Like, it was a really good time, but I guess kind of without really realizing it, I just kept accumulating feelings about certain things, whether it be about my career, about starting school, about finishing school, the circumstances, because I spent my senior year homeschooled, and it was just kind of a bunch of feelings that were accumulated within me. Once school started, I took only 2 classes. I only took anatomy and physiology and history because I was already warned that anatomy was going to be a very challenging class to take. And so I only took those 2 classes, but everything was going, I guess, kind of okay. I had a very challenging teacher. That's a story on its own. It was just very material heavy, test heavy. Every like breathing moment you just had to study for that class, and it was stressful. And I just had a moment in the middle of me studying that I just panicked. And that's kind of where everything all started. This happened like in the beginning of October, towards the end of September. We weren't even in the middle of the semester, and I just like started plummeting emotionally, and it was just a moment that I just was afraid of everything. Like, I was afraid of making a mistake, I was afraid of failing the class, I was afraid of everything. Like, it started pretty much with school, the pressure of school, and then it just kind of spread out everywhere. And I kind of just developed a pattern of crying all the time. I cried from the moment I woke up, and I couldn't sleep. I had a really big problem sleeping. I couldn't sleep in my room. I was sleeping in the kitchen, and if I didn't sleep in the kitchen, and this is when I got pretty bad. I asked my parents if I could sleep on the floor in their room because I hated being alone, and it was just very unhealthy patterns that I was developing. I just couldn't sleep. There was just days where I just felt like I had my eyes closed, but I was just never falling asleep, and I was just crying. And at this point I was really just trying to reach out to the Lord and ask him to please take these feelings away, because it was just unbearable. Like, I just didn't think I would ever feel better, and I didn't think I would ever not feel like every day was horrible. Like, every day just was not something I looked forward to. I hated looking forward to the next week, and like, it was just not fun at all. Eventually I had a sit-down conversation with my parents because I have opened up to my friends. They love me so much, and they told me the advice that they would only say if it was something this severe, and it was that I needed to start opening up professionally to a doctor and express what my feelings are. And even my family suggested the same thing, and there was a lot of hesitance on my side because I didn't really want to face the fact that I was actually depressed, and I hated that word so much, and it just resonated with me that I just didn't want to admit the fact that it was just that bad. They just kept encouraging me to make that decision on my own as an adult, that I needed to get help before this got any worse than it possibly could. And so I finally had a sit-down conversation with my parents that I needed to get help, and soon. And I had this conversation with them the day before to visit my friend in Virginia, and that was, in a sense, a little bit of a mistake because I had to wait another like 5 days before I could actually get that medical attention. In the back of my mind, I was hoping that if I went to Virginia to see my friend, because I just needed to have someone close to me that I can be with, that I can talk to, that was just outside of my home and like outside of my family. That whole plane ride there, I was just sobbing, and it was awkward. I was sitting in the middle between two strangers, and I was really trying to not cry. I really was trying to be excited, but I just could not stop crying, and it was horrible. Once I landed, I kind of got myself together, and I was just looking forward to see these wonderful faces that I haven't seen in a very long time. It was fine at first. Like, I was kind of like, okay, I feel better because these people understand me in a way. Like, they're my age, they know what I explained to them, and they've had their own experiences, and I just felt like I was in a safe place. But that same night, after me kind of being happy and being able to laugh, I cried again, and it was just that pattern the whole trip there, and it was just so severe. I couldn't even go to the airport to go home because I was scared. Not necessarily afraid to go home in a way, I was, but it was just the panic of being alone again and being by myself in a very busy environment at the airport, and just couldn't do it. And I am so blessed to have had my friends with me that day and have the support of my friends' moms. They talked to my parents and just said, this is much more serious than I think you think it is. They took me to a concert that they had no idea about. They didn't know who they were. They just knew that I loved them so much, and it was in Washington, D.C., and they made the effort to take me there and go to this concert. They didn't know who they were, and the whole time I was just in the restroom sobbing, and that was extremely heartbreaking for me because that was supposed to be the moment that I didn't feel anything. I really wanted to just have a good time, but my mind was just like, oh, and it was just it was just not good at all. And I was in contact with someone from church, and I don't want to spill names right now. You know, I really did during this time try to have a consistent conversation going faithfully about what can I do spiritually about this. And it was just like, it was read your Bible, pray, worship music. Like, that's pretty much what everyone from church would suggest to me. And whenever I would bring up that the possibility of me having to go to a doctor came up, it was very discouraged. And it's not in a way that's like it's the devil. Like, I don't think they ever thought that. I think it was just that people really, or my church family just really wanted me to be able to overcome this without the help of something natural like medicine. Finally, we come home, and long story short, with the airport situation, my parents had to come come get me themselves from Virginia, from Texas. And my dad took a flight and picked me up and we flew back together. And that was a day that you'd think I would feel special, but I hated it, the fact that they had to do that. And it opened their eyes to see the reality of how bad I was. And so I think that next day when I got home, we had an appointment to go see a doctor. And it was a doctor that I've seen whenever this kind of started, but I went to her for something else. Just asked me questions and kind of narrowing down everything, like how often do I feel this way? Is it preventing me from doing other things? And unfortunately, it was all yes, and it was so heartbreaking to answer everything yes. But we had a very long conversation about what I was feeling, why I was feeling this way, what do I want to happen for me to stop feeling this way. She just basically, she told me that I had to be prescribed a antidepressant and also medication to help me relax enough to go to sleep, and multivitamins. I don't know what the multivitamins are for, but I'm glad she did it because my hair looks good. Off topic, but my hair looks great. Like, I think it's grown a lot longer and I think it looks like healthier. So she prescribed that to me, and whenever I heard her say that, I just felt like I failed. Like, I felt like I am just broken. I can't do anything. I need to take medicine to not feel like I hate myself. It was just very, I just didn't like that feeling, and I opened up, and I think we all did as a family because my parents were there, and they just were like, you know, we don't want this to be a permanent medication that she has to take. We don't want her to, and I don't want to rely on antidepressants for a long period of time. And you know, she understood that because she was actually a believer herself, and she just said that this would be temporary. But after all of this, to ultimately answer the question of can Christians take antidepressants, my answer is gonna be yes, because I'm taking antidepressants as we speak. And I really wanted to make this video because, like I said, there is this negative feeling, like there's a lot of negative feelings towards taking antidepressants. And I think this is even not even only in the Christian community, but even in, you know, socially around us, even outside of religion or faith. There's not really an encouragement for everyone to consider taking that, because there is that fear that you would have to rely on it, and that's like you're depressed. Like when you hear the word antidepressant, it just sounds severe, and it can be. I mean, it was for me. The way I see it, you know, I didn't really want it to get to this place either. It unfortunately and fortunately did, because I have seen a really big difference since I have been prescribed antidepressants, and I'm really happy that we had this conversation with the doctor that I don't want this to be long term, and I do want to eventually not take it sooner rather than later. There isn't anywhere in the Bible, and I haven't even heard necessarily a sermon that suggests that medicine is the devil, because it's not. In the natural, when you go to the doctors are gonna explain the facts. They're not gonna have faith and confess things that aren't there, because that's their job. Their job is to be honest of what the results are and to treat you the way that they're trained to treat people with symptoms. And they're not wanting to give you medication to take you away from the Lord. They're not wanting to give you medication to just label you with something. They're giving you this medication so you will feel better, because that's why you're there in the first place, if that makes sense. You know, this was a very long process of me kind of wanting this to end. And if you're wondering what was my relationship with God during this period, it was just desperate. I would pray several times a day. Almost every minute I felt like I was praying, like, God, please, like, make this stop. And it just wasn't happening. And there was just times where I just felt like I was losing faith, not necessarily in God, but just in the possibility of me ever feeling better. I think that the doctor that I saw was assigned by God himself. I think that everything that happened was intentional, because I feel great, and I think that I believe very confidently that my relationship with God has only improved after this whole process of me going to the doctor, because she opened up and said that she was a believer, and that just brought comfort to me and I think my parents, because they just didn't feel like they just threw pills at me and wanted me to get out of their office. This was a very lengthy appointment that I had with my doctor, and it lasted almost, I think, an hour and a half, and even I was talking to two doctors, and one of them like pulled me outside and she held my hand. She encouraged me to make decisions that would truly make me happy, to not live to satisfy other people, and that's kind of the mentality that I've had since this whole thing. All that I think about is purpose. And I watched a video with Love Michelana, because you know that I'm obsessed with her. She made a video about purpose, and she was like at a conference, and she said that your purpose is already in you and that you just need to find it. You need to kind of discover what is it that you like, what is it that you love. That's just what has encouraged me. And after all of this, after me just not really doing it at school, I was doing awesome. I mean, not awesome, I was doing great. I was doing all right. It just wasn't the right time. I mean, it was mostly the professor. He was so mean to me. After this whole process, I've just taken a lot of time to think about what I really like to do and things that interest me, and in a way there's a lot of pressure to know what exactly you want to do, what career path you want to take, and I really did pray about what I wanted to do and what is the next step. That's what I had on my heart. I really didn't expect to share all of those details. I really just wanted to start a conversation to get help when it's absolutely necessary, because I think it's really common for people to wait too long and to wait for something like a sign to do something, and that's just that's not good. It's not good to wait that long, and my doctor even told me that she was very proud of me to make that step to see her, because this is gonna get morbid, but a lot of times people will wait, and without them even thinking about it, they just wake up and they just have an instinct to hurt themselves, and it's just not good. If you ever find yourself in a place where you just feel like you're in a hole and you can't get out, there's nothing wrong with getting help in any way. And since I started this treatment, I've been able to think more clearly and see that things will get better. And I don't know, like in the back of my head I was just like, I'm gonna be 40 years old and not ever feel better. I am so happy that that wasn't the case, that I felt better. Do I have faith that I will not be on medication? I do. I definitely do. And I know that I won't be on medication for much longer. I really think that before the 2019 ends, that I will no longer have to take medication, and there's nothing wrong with being on medication either. So like, the tea. That's my video, and I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I really hope that this resonated with you and that I didn't offend anybody and that I was straight to the point. I mean, there's not much more I could say. This is pretty much everything I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching this video. This week I should be getting my driver's license, and so that was on my New Year's resolutions, and I'm going to vlog it. I'm gonna vlog the whole experience, and hopefully it's this week. If it's not, then I should be uploading a video on my organized room tour, and then you could see what's behind those doors behind me. I'm gonna keep y'all posted. Thank you so much for supporting me through everything, and thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for clicking that notification bell so you don't miss my next video. And I will see you in the next one. I don't know how to stop recording.